All right, my dears, this time we have a different setup. As you can see, I'm not alone here. I've brought Alex with me because he's been giving me a lot of support when it comes to advertising campaigns. And I have to be honest, I actually got this newer strategy from him. I myself was a victim of the old strategy, where I only targeted the lookalike audience and my account gradually performed worse and worse. And then I found Alex, who helped me out a bit and told me, Lottie, the game has completely changed. Meta ads work completely differently now. Exactly. And this is Alex. I know I want to briefly introduce you. Or maybe you can say a few words about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I'm Alex. The most important thing you need to know about me is that I've been doing this for about 5 years. Back then, I started with media buying with ads for my own stores. I did drop shipping, so I actually taught myself everything, took courses from time to time, and always picked up everything I could from the best. And yes, this is my daily bread. I do this every day. I spend quite a bit each day across different brands, whether it's for my own projects, for e-commerce brands, or now for Lottie, so I can probably give you verified answers. It's the case that every media buyer definitely has their own opinion to some extent. I think with media buyers, there aren't really rigid rules. Well, there are some basic rules you should follow, but you also gain a lot of your own experience, and everyone has their own approach to some extent. My approach works for me, but it probably won't work 100% for everyone. I'm just sharing my opinion with you, how it works for me. That's all.
May I quickly ask, what's the highest budget you've managed in a month for a client? I mean, you still work for many other clients. You're also still involved in the agency, helping a lot of people there. What's the highest amount you've ever spent in a month, or spent sensibly so that you actually got good results from it?
That was just 6 days ago. So in August 2025, for one brand we just checked, we spent 170,000 there. It was also very profitable with very good profit margins. So I have a pretty good idea of how things work. Exactly, I think this Kofi will be significantly more. We'll see how it goes this month. At least that's the goal for the year.
So that's the scale you're operating at. We want to take a look at some key figures in a moment and dive deeper, and Alex will help us out a bit and share his insights. What he would change, what he would do if a particular key figure is currently dropping, or what it actually means when it starts to decline. I'd like to ask you now to share your screen so we can take a look together at my Meta Ads account, and then we'll get started right away with the key figures. Now it's visible, exactly. The first one, let's just do this freestyle. The first metric I'd bombard you with here is CPM, or cost per mille. Maybe just as a recap what that actually means. Basically, it's the cost for having 1 million viewers see your ad. They don't do anything with it, they don't click or anything else, they just see it. If I see that it's bad now, or you see that it's bad, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, so if those were actually costs for 1 million impressions, that would be pretty brutal, and we'd basically just be printing money. But it's cost per mille, that's cost per thousand, right? Yes, exactly. Per thousand impressions. Let's say, what does extremely high actually mean and what does extremely low mean? There are completely different markets to consider here. So my answers are now going to focus entirely on the DACH region. Let me say, what is considered high? In the DACH region, 50, 60, 70% is already really high. Anything between 10 and 30 is normal. You can definitely have CPMs under 10 euros as well. But most of the time, that's not in the coaching sector or in areas where you don't have much competition. That means here we already arrive at the first answer. Cost per mille, if that's high, so the CPM costs, means, well, it can mean the following things. The competition is very high in that area. For example, let's say making money with your phone. That means the algorithm knows that this claim is very, very common on the internet, or losing weight. The competition is high, which means you have to pay more for ad placements. Put simply, that's all it means. How can you influence this, or when can it also be higher? If the quality of your ads is poor, if they're not very relevant to the target audience. If the quality of a landing page is low, if it's also not very relevant. That means if you're in a high competition market where competition is fierce, you should definitely make sure that your ads are of high quality. And I'm not just talking about high quality in terms of video production, but especially about the message you're conveying to your target audience. So this brings us to the whole topic of this workshop, or let's say this video. Many people think, hey, with LRS or some secret settings in the media manager, you'll be able to squeeze out those extra percentages. But it always comes back to the goal, to research, to the message you have in your ads. Because if you have a good message in your ads, it will automatically resonate with your target audience. That means your CPM will drop, but all the other software tricks, which we'll get to in a moment, will also be in a healthy range. I know I've gone on a bit, but it's also pretty clear. If you manage to keep an ad running for more than 3 days, say 4, 5, or 6 days, and the ad gathers interactions, for example, you might have an ad with a €60 CPM, which is extremely high, but it's profitable, then honestly, I couldn't care less how high the CPM is. But let's assume the ad is profitable and stays profitable for 3 or 4 weeks. What will automatically happen is that the CPC can drop, and above all, the engagement on the post itself will increase. The meta algorithm knows, hey, this post is relevant to the target audience. Automatically, your CPM will go down over time. That's really the whole magic behind it.
So basically, the CPM just tells us whether we're operating in a highly competitive market or not. And really, there's nothing we can do about it except do our best with our ads. And because of that, the CPM might even decrease in the long run.
Yes, 100%. And I am now, well, you can't influence him that drastically. If you launch an ad now and you have a CPM of €60, you can't make two decisions and then it will be 30 anyway. You can set levers in the direction that I have just mentioned, but it is not as if you can influence things that drastically, and you can also be profitable with the high CPM if the target message, the credit is good, and if the offer behind it is good. I have also seen more American stores, which had a CPM of $120, $150, which is unbelievably high, and yet they were still extremely profitable and were able to make millions in sales. So you can also work with a high CPM.
One could say, just as an idea from me, that the higher you go in the awareness stage, the higher the CPM gets. Because if we think about it, in my case, the broad topic at the awareness stage for me is making money online. And the more specific topic would be Etsy. That means with the topic Etsy, we would have less competition, we wouldn't be as broad, so the CPM would probably be lower. And with the topic of making money online, where a lot more people are bidding, where there's more competition because it's a broader term, the CPM would be more expensive.
Yes, so that has something to do with the niche. If the niche, in this case, for example, Etsy, doesn't have as much competition, then the CPM can be lower than, say, dropshipping coaching, which was very, very high at one point. Exactly, that's what you can say. And regarding the awareness level, yes, I wouldn't mix that with niche and awareness level. I wouldn't mix that because you see, for example, we have retargeting ads running here now. Retargeting ads, I'm not paying attention to the naming here, so some professional media buyers might come after me for this, but I can handle it. And you see, we actually have an extremely high cost here. We're paying $76 per 1,000 people reached because we have a relatively small target audience. So the smaller the target audience, the higher the CPM usually is.
Got it. Because we
only have such a small pool.
Yes, because we're only targeting people who have already visited our website.
Exactly. And just to touch on CPM again, so right now we're on Meta, but for example, on TikTok, it's significantly cheaper, although the quality of leads and buyers is usually worse. Why is the CPM cheaper there? Because fewer people are running ads, simply because fewer people are running ads. It's as simple as that. There's also another platform that almost no one knows about, Taboola and Outbrain. These are native platforms, and the CPM there is also very, very cheap. The CPC is very, very cheap because it's kind of like Facebook was 10 years ago. No one is using it, but it's there and it actually works really well, but nobody knows about it. Just to give you an idea why that's the case here as well, but
would you recommend that people jump on it right away now? What do you say? Well, yes, but the likelihood of purchase is also lower there, and maybe that's also a reason why not so many people are using it at the moment.
That would be a topic in itself, but TikTok can definitely work. I know coaches who have gotten good results. You just have a lower conversion rate there. It's exactly the same with native. Most people here probably won't know what that is, but native can really hit hard depending on what your product is. For example, with native, let me give you an example. What is that anyway? You know, Bild.de, Spiegel.de, and at the bottom there are always those ads.
Display.
This juice helps you lose 10 kilos overnight or something like that. Those are the kinds of ads, or for solar panels and so on. And if your target group is 30 plus, let's say 30 to 70, and they read a lot, for example, if you want to sell an online course for cooking, sewing, knitting, or something like that, meaning you have an older target audience, then that could really be your way to go, and you can achieve quite a lot even with a relatively small budget. So yes, that's the answer to that. Okay, all right.
All right, let's move on to the next metric. And for this, I've gone straight to the CTR, but I've also included the CPCs because I believe they influence each other. Meaning if the CTR is bad, the CPC is usually bad too. You can pretty much say that. So what do we do if we have CPCs that are too high, or what do we do if the click-through rate is too low? Is there anything we can do to counter that, or what's your initial thought when you see this?
I mostly just pay attention to the CPC and don't focus as much on the CTR. It's cool if the CTR is also high, but for me, for me personally, the most crucial factor is the CPC. Because then I know, hey, I know that a click can cost me a maximum of 2 euros 50. Based on historical ad data, I know, hey, up to 2 euros 50, we can be super profitable. There are exceptions where we're still profitable even at 3 euros. But generally, if we have a CPC that's too high, then either the message isn't right, it's not relevant, it's not appealing to enough people, or it's appealing to too few people. That's why the CPC is high, but in turn the conversion rate is good. Let me give you an extreme example. This won't be relevant for most people. I have a case where we're gathering real estate leads, and these are real estate leads, but not for people who have no personal capital. This means we say from the start, hey, you must have a minimum of 20,000 and you have to be a high earner. This means we're already excluding so many people that we have a CPC of 15 euros and we're still profitable. Wow. It's super profitable because with real estate, you have much higher margins. Now, in our case, if we're selling a 300 euro product, if we have about 300 euros net after taxes, then there are definitely ads that can run with a 5 euro CPC. They exist definitely if the conversion rate is good. In our case, specifically here, I look, mostly only up to a maximum of 2 euros 50. Now you can see, for example, with the webinar, we have 186, that's in dollars. So it's probably around 160 in euros, which is actually pretty fine. If the conversion rate is also fine, then we actually have a good lead price. And yeah, the CTR, I really pay more attention to the CPC. I can't really influence the CTR that much, or the CTR. If it's between 1 and 3%, that's cool. But I also have ads where it's under 1% and it's still super profitable. But of course, what does that tell us at all? It tells us what the interaction is like. Yeah, what the interaction is like. Are people clicking on it? Are people just clicking on the ad? Are they liking it? Maybe commenting on it too, because that's all a click, I'd say. Just how much interaction your post has. Of course, the higher the CTR, the better, because then the CPM will also get cheaper at some point, logically. But now what you also have to understand is if you have a high CPM, like with 60 euros or so, then you almost always have a high CTR, always, because you're shown to fewer people, so you get clicked on more. So it all plays a role. You have to look at everything. And here, for example, you can see what I was just talking about. Here we have a CTR for link click-through rate. That means how many people click the link to the next page. That's at 1.6. And CTR all, which means all impressions, clicks, and so on, that one is higher. Yes, and when I'm already in this range, I know, hey, I'm already getting good interaction here. You can also see the drastic differences with a retargeting ad. The CTR is barely there, but in this case, we're only running it for awareness anyway. We just want reach for people to simply see it, and it works. I'll show you that too. But people hardly click on it anymore. Yeah, they already know it. These are people who have already signed up for our webinar. Why would they click on it? Of course, the CTR is there, and you see how high our CPC is, but we're not even going for clicks. But now for an interesting fact that we are achieving what we want to achieve, you can see that, for example, in the frequency of 10, that would be for your ad campaigns. If you're running ads, that would be a horror scenario. I've never seen that in my life for actual ad campaigns that you're running for purchases for yourself. Can I say something quickly?
I had that before I met you. That was exactly it. I had a frequency of 11. And 11? Yes, and I had a frequency of 11 before I met you. That's what my account looked like afterwards with my Advantage Shopping campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I explained the problem to you back then, um, or what the problem is for most people. They think that the solution in their business is the media buying, the technical side. But it's not the technical side at all. The technical media buying, that's the last thing you need to be afraid of. I mean, if you're really spending something like 1,000, 3,000, 10,000 a day, then you also need to have the technical media buying down, or at least be able to look at the numbers. That takes a bit of experience, but in the vast majority of cases, for most coaches or e-com brands, the problem is that they only run ads to people who already know them. And the frequency simply says that on average, everyone here has seen your ad 10 times. Yeah, that's like 1,004%. Of course, they're going to remember it. But let's assume you want to have ad campaigns where you want to generate sales and you really have a frequency of 11. Then everyone has already seen your ad 11 times. What does that tell us? People are absolutely annoyed by it. The ads are worn out, the CPC must be incredibly high because no one is clicking anymore, and it's just no longer effective. The best thing we want to achieve, and people learn this in your course too, are the awareness stages, top of funnel ads, bottom of funnel ads, that we have top of funnel ads up here, which in terms of frequency, even with a high spend, I can show you. I don't really want to show too much, but we can just blur it, right?
However you want, yeah, no problem at all. I'm fine with that.
Here, for example, a top of funnel ad. Okay, the frequency here isn't the perfect example, of course, but actually, or rather, you can see the difference here, right? You can definitely see the difference here. Specifically, when you run ads, you actually want to have top of funnel ads that consistently have a low frequency, even with a high spend. For example, I have an e-com case where in the last 3 weeks, we've spent probably 70, 80, 90,000 euros on one ad creative, in the last 2 or 3 weeks on one video. And the frequency stays at 1.04 the entire time. That simply means that your copywriting is so good that we're constantly targeting new people, that we have such a huge pool and are constantly pulling people into the funnel. And the more ads you have in this format in your ad account, the greater the scale you can have and the longer your ads will run profitably. Of course, you also need to have middle of funnel and bottom of funnel creatives. Then you have the perfect combination. We do that too. For example, I can show you, for example, here we have warm. Yes. So the target audience is called warm, meaning it's people who know us, they're warm. Yes. In English, warm, yes. That means they already have a much higher frequency here. We're already at 2.13, but we want that. Those are the people who are already, it's also a kind of retargeting, but for leads. And here, this is definitely a top of funnel ad that's very, very good. It has also, in the last few days, we can see here in the last 2 days, gotten the most leads, and also has a very, very good lead price here. These are all in dollars here, which means we're definitely a bit lower. And yeah, you can just see the differences there.
Yeah, crazy. Wow, intense.
And that's how the ads kind of play off each other. Yes, that means we really have a top of funnel ad here that pulls people in at the top, and people have multiple more points of contact with us, customer touch points, and not everyone converts immediately. That means you have to pick them up again at the bottom with other touch points, with other creatives, with other messages. Hey, wasn't there something? You have to remember. Whatever, just with other touch points. Because you can't expect to generate sales immediately when you run ads online. Especially when you're just starting out, maybe you haven't built up much on Instagram yet, people don't know you yet, you don't have that much expertise, then not everyone will buy immediately, especially not anymore. 5 years ago, yes, but not anymore. That means you have to give them multiple customer touch points. And that's not hocus pocus. People really look first, I think they say 7 to 10 times. Yes, they think about it, or they need 7 to 10 touch points before they buy. Yes, and that's definitely true, and it's becoming more that people will eventually need 12 touch points. 100%, yes.
Yes, that's why, exactly. Normally, when you look at it, one is the cold ad now, the one that's good, and the other is the warm ad. Normally, it's even the case that the colder one is a bit more expensive, but we can even see with the cost per result that it can keep up really well. That's not always necessarily the case. So normally the colder one is usually also more expensive in cost per lead than the warm one. But yeah, this is of course a particularly good ad from us that's working right now. That's also how you can tell that it can even outperform that one. So don't be surprised or expect them both to be equally expensive, but usually the colder ones are a bit more expensive and the warmer ones are then always a bit cheaper. Exactly.
Normally, yes.
Exactly. So that's that. Let's move on to the next one, which is also interesting, namely the video play rate. Of course, this only works with Reels. We don't have this with carousel ads. What do you do? What do you look at there? I know you also look at different steps, so intermediate stages, not just whether they watch the video or not, but also how far, I believe. And what does that tell you? What changes might you suggest to me, or what might we need to change about the ad?
Yes, I also set that up.
You have to set it up first. Yes, exactly. No problem at all.
Very, very quickly, then we also have the
We'll get to that again in a moment, but you can also answer it directly if you want.
Yes, I'll do that. That's actually part of it. Everything together, exactly. Don't be surprised. Yes, now Ukraine is very low here because that's high quality, basically 2 images, not really. And I'm only going to focus on the highlighted ads now and build myself here. Video ads are also for everyone from Zim. Video ads are by far the most important ads in your ad account. They really bring people in from the top of the funnel, as I just explained, and at the bottom you can catch them with image ads. Also important, if you now upload an image ad and it immediately gets 2 or 3 sales, and then you say, hey Alex, he's just talking nonsense. Yeah, that's always the case. The images, they always get a few sales right away, or can get a few sales kind of like low-hanging fruit, but they also drop off very, very quickly because basically
I think you could even put it this way. You have to run the real ad and the image ad, and then when you turn on the image ad, it works really well because it picks up the people who already watch the real ad and gives them that final push. But if you were to turn off the real ad because you think only the image ads are working, the images are good, then eventually the image ad would also start to perform poorly because those people weren't picked up beforehand. So actually the image ad is the second step, not the first. That means they're somehow connected to each other. So basically, they only target the people who haven't yet decided to buy, giving them a second reminder with an image, while the reel is what actually brings them in for the first time, and then the image ad gives them the final push. That's why sometimes in the metrics, the image ad looks better than it actually is, so it can't exist without the reel.
absolutely, that's exactly what I was about to say. That's everything I just explained. The interplay between top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Exactly, perfectly explained. You did a good job. Very briefly, yes, regarding video, what I always look at first is the hook rate and the hold rate. What does that tell us? Hook rate is basically how many people or what percentage of people out of all the impressions you have stay for the first 3 seconds. The hook rate is extremely important. Now, there are people who seriously say a hook isn't that important, that your performance doesn't depend on it. A hook is absolutely essential, whether it's organic or paid, it makes no difference. It's incredibly important. These are the first 3 seconds of your video. That determines whether the person stays or not. It doesn't matter whether it's organic or paid. Just imagine people get thousands of ads a day, they're just scrolling. You have to give them a good reason to stay longer than the first 3 seconds. That means you have to catch them right away. You can influence the hook rate with hooks that are either relevant, or you can also use clickbait, for example. For example, if you want to attract a male target audience, well, if you show a cleavage with a banana, you'll get a target audience of 70, a hook rate of 70%. 100%, we've already tested it, that's how it is, but the traffic is usually really, really low quality. But now, let's get back to our case. I come from e-commerce. There, a 30% hook rate is average. So that's the minimum KPI you need to have. A really good hook rate is more like 50 to 60%. Then you really have brutal hooks with probably very good results on the back end as well. So with purchases and revenue as well. But what I've noticed here in the coaching market, especially with you, is that we really had some brutal winning videos that actually ran for 8 weeks straight, and they consistently brought us sales with a 15% hook rate. That means I would lower the KPI expectations here. So you can already be profitable here with just 15 or 20%. That's not a problem. The higher, the better. If you get close to 30%, that's very, very good. And in e-commerce, they say a hold rate of 8 to 12%. That means even here, our winning videos only had 3 to 6%.
Can I If you see that you have a winning video and you have great numbers, even though the hook rate is bad, would it make sense to say, okay, just record this video again, test 5 different hooks, but keep the rest the same, only change the first 3 to 5 seconds, and then maybe you have the chance to turn a good ad into an even better one? Is that an approach you should take?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the reason why you look at the numbers in the first place. Just like you said, what a lot of people do is when we have a body that works, or maybe even two bodies, body and call to action, that basically always stay the same, you know it works, the mechanism is there, and you explain the unique aspects of your offer, your product, and you know that it works, then you only scale through the first 20 to 30% of the creative. That means you have the hook, but you also have the lead. The lead is extremely important. Maybe that's a topic for another video, where you simply address different target audience avatars. That means you can reach a person with a lead. For example, let's take the topic of making money, since we're talking about making money right now. Then you can use a lead, for instance, with an angle focused on children. You want to finally treat your kids to something again. Your kids ask you for things, but you can't give them anything. You always have to hold back, and they watch other kids. That means you reach them through those 20 to 30%, focusing on the topic of children so that you can provide something for your kids. And then basically the same body follows. I have a system, or I have a method, no starting capital, no prior knowledge, and so on. That part always stays the same. And then you can take the same body and use the first 20 to 30% to target a completely different person, maybe someone who just wants to go on vacation again. You reach them. Now, let's take a different topic when it comes to losing weight. Then you reach some people by focusing on cravings. So the first 30% is about cravings. With someone else, maybe you focus on extreme desire to be skinny. Exactly, they want to lose more and more weight just so that
these clothes finally fit. What pain points are there, and which ones can you address? What wishes do people actually have? And are there goals behind them? Why do they maybe want to do this right now, or why do they need this coaching program? The motivations behind it are different.
exactly, you simply use the song to reach people in their specific everyday situations. How do you know about these everyday situations? Some are obvious if you just put yourself in their shoes. Otherwise, target group research. That's really the be all and end all, that you do proper target group research. And then, hey, these 15 points, these are the things the target group deals with. These are the pains, these are the desires, these are the wishes. Exactly. And then you always reach about 20 to 30% of them if you have a body that works. That's exactly how we did it too. So with the webinar as well, it doesn't matter whether you do it in a webinar, in lead generation, or in e-commerce. It really doesn't matter because it's all behavioral psychology. It's simply human psychology. It just makes sense. Exactly.
Okay, good. So now we've talked about the video wait,
We actually haven't yet. Right, we still need to
go into the intermediate steps.
Exactly, that's really quick. So I just make sure that at every step, 25%, 50%, 75%, 95%, we don't then a 50% drop off. That means if we have 3,100 here and it's high quality, then there should be 1,600 here. So we always want a maximum of 15%. 50% loss is normal. If it's less, especially here from 50 to 75%, if there's hardly any loss, say 10%, then you know the body is really good. Yeah, that was also the chalkboard where I said, hey guys, we have a creator here. It's actually been working much better over the last 3 days than at the beginning. And here I know it's really good, especially the body. I'm going to make iterations for our next funnel and do exactly what I just explained. There's no magic to it. Even here with the pitch, this is a pitch, but it's a soft pitch pointing to the free webinar. If you have a pitch for a product that people are supposed to buy directly, then the drop-off can't be higher. But even here, we really don't lose people. But as I said, 50% from each would be fine. What if it's more than 50% somewhere? Let's say it fits here, and then you notice here, hey, I had 2,000 views here, but only 400 here. You have to get into the body, you have to get into the copy, and that's why you write the copy properly beforehand. You have to get into the copy and see, okay, what is turning people off here so much that they're dropping off? That's where you've made a glaring mistake. It's the same with the call to action. If you lose too many people in the last third of the video, then the pitch just isn't good enough. Maybe it's too pitchy. Maybe you just need to analyze it.
At what point in the video did people drop off? Maybe they didn't like it anymore at that point, or maybe it was just too drawn out, or it could even be due to the editing. Maybe it gets to a point where people think, oh, now I have to listen, now it's really dragging, it's already repeating itself for the third time. That happens, of course. So you need to know exactly where that is. Am I at about 50% or 75%? And then adjust the script there and try again. That's how you keep improving your ads over time. So I think that's a pretty good metric to see how your ads are performing and exactly where in your ads. You can see if there's a problem right at the beginning, in the middle, or if it's the call to action at the end.
Exactly. And so far, we've only had really great examples. So let's look at a slightly worse example for a change. Here, we're losing just over 50%. That means you could take a look at this, but you also have to say, hey, the hook rate is still good, the conversion rate is very good, the CPC is very good, so I wouldn't overemphasize this now. It could also be that people are already convinced enough and are clicking right away.
That they already knew early on, I know everything I need, let's go.
Exactly, and now there's also a negative example here. That means that's why you really have to understand the whole thing from a marketing perspective, understand funnels. If you have low CPCs but the conversion rate isn't right and you see this problem here, then the solution could be to make the landing page they click on into an educational page. That means before you send them directly to the product, they might get put off and people usually need a bit more information. That means if you, for example, are selling an online make money product right away, you should first educate them and explain why this is the best product, what your experiences with it are. That could already be the solution. In other words, you build a pre-sale page, as we call it.
That means we don't send them straight to the purchase, but instead engage them beforehand. Especially depending on how cold the target audience is, it always takes more effort to win them over. And the warmer they are, the sooner you could almost send them directly to the checkout page.
Yes.
Yes, I think so too. That's well put. So far, we've only talked about soft metrics. That means they provide indicators like you could take another look at the landing page or review your ad again. But they don't really tell you yet whether the ad is actually bad or really good. That's what this KPI I'm about to mention does, namely the ROAS. For the first time, I would say this is a hard metric where you can really see whether the ad is working, whether it's ultimately profitable, so to speak. So what does my ROAS actually look like, and what do you look at there? What would you say are good values and what are bad values?
Well, in our case, I know what good or bad values mean. It depends on where your break-even ROAS is, meaning from what point you actually start making money. If you have a digital product, then that's always pretty low because you don't have any product costs. In e-commerce, for example, it's a bit different. You have product costs, taxes, and so on. Whatever. For us, it's like this. We just set for ourselves that, hey, around 100 euros per sale works for us. That means up to that point, it's totally fine. If we have a 100 euro CPA, cost per action, cost per sale, then that's fine for us. We also often have ads where it's about a 3 times ROAS for us. That means we're pretty satisfied with a 3 times ROAS. That means we know, hey, after all costs, we still have enough profit. And we also often have ads that had a 50 euro CPA. Our best performers, especially in the summer, and I think now in the winter as well, will have some where we have a 50 euro CPA. That's already a 6 times ROAS. What's good or bad always depends on the key figures. It always depends on the AOV. It's logical. For example, for us, we're now also doing the webinar, and now I'm in the position, I'm the marketer behind it. And of course, I want to have awesome key figures. Ideally, I'd like to make 500,000 in revenue, but I also have to be realistic. Here, we have an AOV of 300 euros. Until next time. It's incredibly hard to make 500,000 euros in a single webinar. If I had an AOV of 1,000 or 3,000, then it would be much easier because you need fewer people for that revenue. That's why, yes.
Because the product is more expensive, exactly.
Exactly. That's why you always have to be careful when you see ads from coaches or so. When they come at you with claims like 10 times ROAS, 20 times ROAS with their clients. First of all, a lot of it is just lies, pure lies. I know so many. I think I have access to so many ad accounts because as a freelancer, I'm also with one of the biggest agencies in Germany, and it's just pure lies. Those kinds of results hardly exist, except maybe in the service business or coaching sector if you're really selling high ticket offers. Yeah, like 10,000 or 20,000 euro products. Yeah, of course. If you're selling a 10,000 euro product, then you can spend 1,000 euros. That's the margin. Yeah, that's a 10 times return. There are also people who sell 50,000 euro packages, 60,000 euro packages. Yeah, then you can also spend 5,000 euros per sale. It's just logical. That's why you always have to pay attention to the specific case. In our case here with a 300 euro AOV, yeah, a 3 times ROAS is solid. We always have a good profit margin then. And if there's a summer slump and we have a bit less, then we know what the reason is. When quarter four comes, then we also have a bit higher, sometimes a 4 times return on ad spend, 5, even 6 per ad. Yeah.
Okay, good. But exactly, that's one of the hard facts you look at, as well as, I would say, cost per purchase, right? So those are the two main hard facts. Exactly. So
That was what you get with CPA, so I mostly pay attention to the CPA here. CPA and ROAS, they go hand in hand. You can just calculate it yourself. If you have 300 euros in revenue per purchase and a 50 euro CPA, as I said, that's a 6 times ROAS. If you have a 100 euro CPA, you have a 3 times ROAS. And if you just have a mix as well of several ads that are working, one of them works at 100 euros per purchase. So you have some with a 3 times ROAS and you have others with a 6 times ROAS. Exactly.
okay. And
Above all, and this is really important in this case here, and in every case, you have to pay attention to the overall picture because some sales might also come in organically, but they could also have been generated by the ads since people have built up these customer touch points again. They followed you through an ad, didn't buy, and then a month later, so those sales won't be attributed in the manager. Or you make sales through email marketing. For us, quite a few also come through email marketing, which then runs automatically, but at the end of the day, you have to look at the overall picture and see if you're making money that way.
that you're actually coming out ahead in the end. That's it for now with my KPIs. But I still have one final question. Maybe you could just give us your feedback on this because you always take on a lot of new clients and then see the ad account for the first time and you probably change a lot of things at first. Is there something for you like two things where you would say everyone gets this wrong or where you always have to step in first or where many people go down the wrong path? What is the first thing you usually do differently in an account or where you say you have to work on it first? What are most people missing or what is it that many accounts are currently doing wrong?
So what 95% really get wrong, whether it's coaches, e-commerce brands, or experts, is that they think media buying is just about the act of media buying itself.
The solution is what I just mentioned at the beginning, but in 95% of cases, media buying is not the solution. It's actually your marketing behind it. Everything we've just discussed, awareness levels, sophistication, the message, the target audiences, research, that's the core of your business, of your marketing, and ultimately of your media buying as well. But now, to address media buying mistakes from a technical perspective as well, what most people do is they go completely overboard with targeting audiences. Hey, we have to target the audience, we have to create LLAs. Coolest side note on this. In America, there are already some accounts where you no longer have the option to select audiences because targeting happens 100%, really 100%, through your creative. That means through the meta ad copy, through the words spoken in the creative or written on the creative, and so on. The algorithm is so good, it immediately delivers the ad to the right audience. So if you mention Canva in your creative, it will instantly show it to people who have just been on Canva, who use Canva, or who have the Canva app on their phone. That's how it is. That means most people think, hey, my algorithm is targeting the wrong people. No, it's not the algorithm, it's your marketing, your creative that's targeting the wrong people. Yes, and yes, then there's this craziness with just duplicating something 10 times, duplicating winning ads. I've done that too. Yes, those strategies are outdated. Basically, don't drive yourself crazy when it comes to campaign structure. I can recommend to everyone to just start out really basic with a plain standard ABO campaign, just something really standard for testing, then maybe try a CBO, and now for the past few months, there's also Advantage Plus. I actually asked about this at my agency the day before yesterday, and some people have had really good results with it. That means I'll be testing it with us as well. You can do that, but Advantage only really becomes relevant when you have, let's say, about 10 good creatives, winning creatives that are also a mix. That means you have some top of funnel, bottom of funnel, and middle of funnel creatives, throw in an event extra, and then it should work its magic. Otherwise, just stick to the basics. 815 ABO, CBO. Don't overcomplicate things when it comes to media buying. Especially here in the course, this is explained 100% clearly, so focus on the basics and rather put your energy into marketing. So focus on the ad timing. Exactly. And also everything we discussed in the call, I can only keep emphasizing, don't drive yourselves crazy. Get the 80% basics right. That alone will already lead to great success. Then you can work on squeezing out the last few percent. Don't always try to perfect everything from the start. You also want to make money and have fun.
You need to be able to keep this up long term, so don't try to perfect everything at the beginning. Really focus on the big levers.
Yeah, and just go ahead and launch some ads, test them, and then you'll see the first results. Based on these results that you get back, you'll already know what the issue is. Is it because of the ad copy? Is it something at the very beginning? Do you need to change the script again? Is the standard landing page not set up correctly? All these metrics are basically provided to you by Meta ads. And then you can build on those metrics and keep improving things, making them better and better. And that's actually how, over time, you get better and more successful.
Yeah, and finally, what I keep seeing in a lot of ads now is the €5 strategy, the secret AI ads method. None of that actually exists. It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. There is no crazy secret strategy in media buying. It just doesn't exist. Honestly, you get the most out of the basics. The real secret strategy is understanding marketing psychology, and knowing how to target your audience. I've honestly said this about 15 times on the call now, so I really want to stress this. This is truly the core, and that's where you can get the most out of it.
Yes, and that's also how you can set yourself apart from others, because they might not pay as much attention to this and just put things out there without really thinking about who is actually seeing their ad, who ends up on their landing page, and who eventually buys from them. Who is my ideal customer, really? And to engage with that, what does this person need? What do they want? And how can I reach them in the best possible way?
Exactly. So to put it briefly, there isn't a magic button in the ad manager that you can just click and then the sales start rolling in. A lot of people are looking for that, but it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Exactly, that's the lion's share of it. In the end, it's really the creativity that carries the most weight. So it's the ads themselves, not some secret setting hidden in the background. That's what makes up the lion's share. Yes, great. Thank you so much for taking the time and for diving so deeply into the subject. I think this has really helped a lot of people understand what all of this actually means, and it also takes away some of the fear of the technology and of what's ahead in those first steps. And so I would then first say goodbye here. Is there any way to contact you or get in touch with you in case someone needs help? Or are you already mentioned that you work with clients who spend 170,000 euros a month? So it's understandable that you're involved at a larger scale. Is there any way, are you currently looking for clients or not? Should someone just try their luck and write to you, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, just try your luck. Lot here also knows a contact. She has my contact info, so just write to me and try your luck. If the project is cool and I can identify with it and feel like taking the time, then I'll do it. If not, I'll say that openly and honestly. Especially whenever I can't help, I always say that directly because I don't want to bring any bad vibes into the house. Otherwise, it's best if you already have a validated product. If you're already making 5,000 to 10,000 euros a month with it, then we can do something, then I can do something. But if not, then I can't help. You have to do that yourself. And yeah, that's it.
Wonderful, great. Thank you so much.
And so,
Have to be able to...
have a nice day. Yes, my pleasure. See you, bye.